This new Sony camera is clearly targeted at online content creation. The ZV-E10 is built with the needs of video-first creators, particularly vloggers. As such, it drops photography-specific features like the electronic viewfinder, built-in flash, and mode dial seen on the older A6000 series. Instead, the ZV-E10 adopts a less is more approach, and with the extra space, improves the quality of the internal microphone and adds a flip-out front-facing LCD. I enjoy the simple approach that the ZV-E takes, and when compared to the A6400, it is smaller and lighter while retaining many of the same features such as the same battery size and the exact same sensor. The simplification of the controls creates a faster workflow along with new ways to operate my camera, and many of the issues have been resolved, such as the rattling caused by the camera hook straps on the A6400. They're now fixed on the ZV-E10, and there's also been the introduction of eye tracking for the autofocus when in video mode, something that was previously only available in photo mode on the A6000 series. There are so many impressive new features found inside of the ZV-E10. This includes some of the latest generation color science by Sony with specific attention to natural looking skin tones. I have definitely noticed this dramatic improvement to the colors within my videos when compared to the A6400. By far, one of the most useful new features is product showcase. Now, traditionally in a YouTube video, when you're trying to show off a product, the camera struggles to focus on your face and the product at the same time because the autofocus is prioritizing tracking your face because that's what it's intended to do. Well, on the ZV-E10, if you turn product focusing on at the rear of the camera, whenever you bring a product into frame, it will instantly focus on that product. Then when you remove it, it will go straight back to your face, and so on. You can just keep doing that with full confidence that it's going to be focused on the point you're trying to articulate with the product you're showing off within your video. Beauty mode has also been added to this camera, and this adds skin softening to your face. Now, there's 3 different modes for this: low, medium, and high, and you can also turn this completely off if you don't like this setting. Now, I filmed this entire video with it set to the default state, which is medium, and you don't really notice it is there until somebody makes you aware of it. Now, when you set it to high, it is a little bit obvious, but low and medium does add a nice soft glow to the subject within the video. One of the most underrated new features is the vertical orientation mode. This lets you film your videos in a vertical format, perfect for TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts, and you can upload them straight away without needing to load them into a video editing software program and rotate the image manually like you had to do on older Sony cameras. This is because the new Sony ZV-E10 captures gyro metadata within the camera body, so it knows the orientation of the camera and can format your videos accordingly. Finally, there is background defocus. This is only usable if you use the camera in auto, and it will quickly transition from a blurry background to an in-focus one. This little camera is capable of very professional video footage. It can film in 4K up to 30 frames per second and full HD up to 120 frames per second. Now, if you don't know the importance of the frames per second, this is referring to the slow motion capabilities of the camera. So the higher the frames per second, the slower the slow motion will be. And 120 frames per second is incredibly good and more than enough for a YouTube video. There are 2 ways you can access slow motion, either manually within the menu or with a simple press of the mode button to switch into S&Q mode. Now, the cool thing about this camera is that it actually films your video in 6K, but the sensor is downscaling that 6K into a 4K file, which gives you an unbelievably sharp image for the price point of this camera. Another benefit of the 6K sensor is ClearImage Zoom. This kind of works like digital image zoom, but without any loss in the overall image quality. Because we have all of these extra pixels built into the resolution of the sensor, we can zoom fully in with our manual lens and then use the zoom rocker to digitally zoom in an extra 1.5 without losing any of the 4K quality we're trying to capture. Then we can use the zoom rocker again to zoom back out and zoom back in, and you can change the speed of the zoom rocker within the preferences in the menu. The only negative is that this camera records at quite a low bitrate, especially when compared to some of the latest technology available in the market. Having files still captured at H.264 with an 8-bit 420 codec can limit what is achievable from the footage. Without being too technical, an 8-bit codec can only capture 16.7 million color levels, whereas the newer 10-bit codecs can display up to 1.0 billion colors. With more color information, you can color grade and push the image further before it begins to fall apart. However, the benefits of 8-bit are that the footage is much easier to edit on your computer and the file sizes are much smaller, saving you a lot of money on external storage as you film more and more videos. And to be honest, the footage looks that great straight out of camera, you don't need to tweak the footage too dramatically to get great results. Another unique feature that's great to see on Sony cameras at this lower price point are picture profiles. This lets you change image characteristics to hopefully retain more information in the shadow shadows and highlights. When used correctly, picture profiles can dramatically change a camera's performance, but for a beginner, it may be something to avoid until you master using the standard picture modes, as color grading a flat image is not only time-consuming, but also overwhelming. Although the ZV-E10 doesn't have Sony's latest menu system found inside of the A7S III, there have been some improvements to the old operating system that it is running. In the past, older Sony cameras like the A6000 series had a very detailed but overwhelming menu system. At first glance, the ZV-E10's menu looks similar to those older cameras. However, the categories have been refined with the removal of many settings that were very rarely, if ever, used by a majority of consumers. Something that I did notice that was very strange was the resolution of the menu system on the ZV-E10. It appears to be elongated vertically compared to the A6400, which screen seems to have a wider aspect ratio when in the menus. This looks a little bit unprofessional on Sony's part, and although minor, I do expect better. If this is going to be your first camera and you're worried about learning the menu system and all of the different features on the ZV-E10, I do have a full getting started guide that will help you overcome this problem. You can stream it for free on Skillshare if you use the link in the video description down below. I confidently believe that this is the best budget camera that you can buy in 2021. For just over £600, you get a camera that you can not only grow into, but grow with. The interchangeable lens system gives you control of the camera and the situations it's usable within. And the Sony E-mount is compatible across all of their cameras, so investing in high quality lenses will pay off down the line when you upgrade your camera body to a higher end offering. And this is something you don't get from something like the Canon M50. This camera has a completely different lens mounting solution to any other camera body that Canon sells, so inevitably when you want something more professional with more pro features, all of the lenses you bought for this camera will not work or be compatible, whereas with Sony, the E-mount is cross-compatible across all of their supported devices. If you're looking to get more out of your videos, and this is your first step from a point-and-shoot or a smartphone, the ZV-E10 is definitely worth a look. And even myself, who owns 3 A6400s, I'm going to be keeping this ZV-E10 as my new primary camera.